Hello. Let us allow people in. There you go. Some people. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to allow some people to come through. And then I'll allow our guest speaker to come through as well. So let's just welcome people in and wait for everyone. Foreign Threads, we see you. Hi. So I'm just going to allow more people in. Still got a minute or so to go. Okay guys, so if you guys have any questions or anything like that, please make sure you write down your questions so I'll be able to answer, and then we'll see as the chat goes, how it goes, and everything like that. Alrighty, let me welcome you guys officially to the first talk, the first interview of Career Fashion Week here at LISOF. So obviously because of COVID and all that's been happening, our designated open days that were supposed to happen now, we were unable to have them. So we thought of this great idea to do a virtual online with you guys, because we understand we've got lots of followers out of the province, out of the country, and there's a lot of interest in us, but obviously because of that whole physical engagement, we won't be able to do that. So we came up with this idea, so hopefully you guys are all excited. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to welcome you officially. So my name is Mihlali Yawa, for those who do not know me. I'm a student advisor here at LISOF, the Pretoria campus, and I'm basically the voice and the face that you guys see when you guys are first applying. I also travel around SA to different schools to tell you guys and inform you guys about what we offer and all of that. And I also studied here myself. I was a design student, and currently I am doing my honors degree. So right now I'm just going to wait for Carike to join in with us. But basically, so Carike Nel, who I'm going to interview, she is the founder and the creative director of Carike Nel Designs. She is very much into evening wear type design wear, but she can do other stuff as well. And I believe her business is now 5 years old, and she is just moving and shaking in terms of the entertainment space within South Africa. She's well known there, and I'm just going to get to ask her all the questions that I've been asking. And the nice thing about her as well, she taught me a little bit in my second year, towards the end of the year. So we have a bit of a relationship going on. But please write down your questions during that, so I'll be able to answer them during this chat. All right? Let us welcome her in. Carike, please click again. We're unable to join. Just click there as well, so I'll be able to join with you. So just click again if you can hear me. Exit and then come back in. So let me greet everyone. I see Kim Zulu. I like your profile pic there. Very, very nice. Nick.ss Smith. I see you. Amber. Hello. Let's see now. It should work. How? So it's not allowing. Is there something wrong with your device, Carike? It's not allowing her in. Guys, quickly write down for me. We are having a bit of technical difficulties. Just write down how does she join in and help us in that regard. Hi, Lisa. Can you just help us in that regard? It's not allowing her in. Just request one more time, Carike. Just request one more time. CBC underscore Dando, we see you. Hi, Kyra. And Brittany Wheeler, hi. Just waiting to connect. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay. Sorry, I tried from another account. It took a...
Okay. That's not a problem at all. That's not a problem. Let me just make it landscape just for continuity and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice to see you.
I'm so good. It's so good to see you.
Yeah.
It is so good to so long.
I know.
Telling everyone. I was telling everyone. I told everyone that you actually taught me during my second year. So
Oh, yeah, that feels...
So Melissa started a bit, and then you came in for the second year. You came in for the second year, in the second half. And I was telling everyone that you were such a great lecturer.
Oh,
But
thanks.
for people who don't necessarily know you that well, can you just quickly say who you are, what you're in charge of, and all of that?
So I basically have my own fashion design company, but I specialize in couture dresses, so wedding dresses, matric dance dresses. And I also do a lot of red carpet dresses, and I've worked on a few movie sets. I did the costumes for that. And I like to do a lot of stage productions, which is also, they call it costumes, but it's mostly evening dresses.
Yeah.
So when the artists perform, you then create a dress or design for whatever performance they need.
Oh wow! So how would that work? So say I'm a celebrity.
Okay.
So I contact you, and then what happens?
So basically, it depends on which production you're working on. So I used to do a lot of dresses for Afrikaans is Groot, which is like an Afrikaans show. So they sometimes give you a color scheme. I know the one year I worked with an artist named Leah. She's very cool. She was the presenter of Boersoeke Vrou, which is like a very popular Afrikaans show. And they, like, the brief for her costumes was that she needs to be on stage and then do 5 wardrobe changes, but without like going off stage. Okay. So I had to we needed to design 5 in one dresses, but they needed to do the changes while she was on stage singing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So that was one of the cool briefs. And otherwise they like give you a color palette. You work one-on-one with the artist, like what they prefer, what they feel comfortable in. Do they want like a romantic look or an edgy look, a rock and roll, whatever.
But what would you say what would you prefer doing? What is your design house? What is the signature Carike Nel design?
I have to say I love doing wedding dresses. I don't think when I was studying, wouldn't have thought that I would say that. But I love making wedding dresses and matric dance dresses. So that's what I'm specializing in now. I also still, like, one of my favorite things to do is to do couture wear full red carpet and stage events, but there's not so many in South Africa as overseas. So you can't really depend on that for like an income, or it's not very consistent either. Like one year they have an award show, the next year they don't. So
Okay, cool. Carike, just quickly do me a favor. On your Instagram, if on the live now, just write down a pin of where we can follow you, what you do, and all of that.
okay, so you can follow me, Carike Nel Designs is my Instagram handle, and my Facebook handle, Carike Nel Designs. I'm just gonna write that. And then I also have a website which I'll post now. It's www.carikeneldesigns.co.za. There we go.
Okay, cool. So how did this all start? So did you always know that you wanted to go into the fashion space? Or did something miraculous happen in your life where you're like, you know what, this is the...
Oh, well, yeah, that's always like a funny question for me, because everyone is like, oh, how did you know you wanted to study fashion design? I didn't. I feel like I accidentally like landed there because I wanted to go study accounting, which is completely different. And then I did that test where they like test you on what career you will be based at. So they said like I can basically do any creative career, like architecture, graphic design, like anything of that sort. And then fashion design was the only course at the institution at that time I was studying at that you didn't need like a portfolio for to study. So like an art portfolio, because I didn't do art or anything in school. So
In you, we the same, because in high school I took biology, physics, and
yeah,
I was going to go either into the medical type space, but what I really
yes.
wanted international relations, and I was actually
Oh,
supposed
nice.
to Wits University, so I was accepted and all of that. And then in the last minute, I was actually like, no, I've known about life. So I actually applied to LISOF in secret. I didn't tell anyone, and I didn't think I would get accepted into LISOF. And then here I am today.
I know. It was exactly like that with me too.
Tell your parents and all of that that this is actually what you want to do and you're serious about it, and you gave them a sort of like a trust that, you know, that they should trust Carike, that she'll be able to make a success of herself from doing that.
I'm sorry, just start again with the question. You just broke up a bit in the beginning.
Not a problem. I was asking you, how did you convince your parents to actually do yeah.
Well, shame. My parents are like the sweetest people ever. I actually got a bursary at this one institution that I went to go study, and my mom just like after a month when I was studying there, she came to me and like she started crying, and she's like, "I can see you're so unhappy. What's wrong?"
Yeah.
So then I told her, no, like I saw LISOF on the internet. I didn't know of you guys, and I really want to go study there. But at that stage, like my parents couldn't afford it. So they were just like, okay, no, just finish this year and then we'll check like next year. But then eventually, like we just made a plan, and yeah, they were very supportive. They were like, if this is what you want to do, I told them like, I want an institution that challenges me and that pushes me. And that's not what I'm feeling at this stage at where I was studying at. So no, they were very supportive.
Good, because I know with a lot of South African culture, our parents, all of us, our parents are quite conservative.
Yeah.
That you are in an informal, like if you in a lower income family or even a higher income family, South African, the thinking is that you need to become a lawyer, a doctor.
Exactly.
And it was the same thing with me as well. come from a very academic family. So
Yeah.
my yeah, he's an advocate. My mom is a psychologist, and they just didn't understand why. Why go into fashion, especially if you can go into something else. But I mean, when once I sat down and I gave them this like formal speech, I think they could see the seriousness of
Yeah.
why I was and the importance of it as well. Because I think in societal, when people think, they think that people who study fashion or in the creative space, they're either really dumb or dull.
Exactly.
The option, you know, to rely on a skill. And people, you know, within the fashion industry, we are people who are so smart. We are people who have such different backgrounds. I mean, for example, there's a first year student here who has a BSc
Yeah.
from university, I believe. We've got another person who actually resigned. She's about 51, I believe, and she studied medicine as well. And she decided, you know what, I can't not live my best life. So here she
I
is
know.
in design as well. And I think that is such a major misconception that, you know, people who study design are, you know, are dull or they're not focused
I
or they're not.
know.
I hear somebody, Amber
Oh,
told me,
yeah.
I'm going through the same experience of explaining to my parents that I want to do fashion. I mean, guys, there's so many success stories. I mean, here I'm speaking to one success story. But there's so many. We've got Rich Misi, we've
Yeah.
got Tebe Makubu, we've got Jacques Bam as well. People who really, you know, are pushing the design space forward in South Africa. But I think for people like Amber who are struggling in terms of convincing their parents, I literally came up with a PowerPoint presentation down and I spoke facts. I think if you could do the same thing as well. So another question that I have for you. So your in terms of your day-to-day experience, when you
Yes.
out your business, were you did you invest in yourself personally? Did you reach out to banks or people to invest in your business? How did that all start? Because I know in the beginning it can become quite difficult to get things off the ground. How did you do that?
Yeah, I think I have so many friends that like joke with me and say they want to start their own business, and then if they look at other people that has their own businesses, then they don't want to do it because they don't realize how difficult it is.
Yeah,
I didn't reach out financially because that was just not something I wanted to do. Um, I didn't want any investors in my business at that stage. So what happened was I actually got a working space at the same office space where my sister was working with her partner. So she has a partner in her business. So I'm actually working in the office next to them. So they helped me out with that financially, just with the office space. But other than that, I didn't want to make any like debt to start a business. And I know you can, and that's not a bad decision. I
yeah,
just feel like if you have, and that was something that one of our lecturers taught me, was all you need is your sewing machine and like a mirror to do fittings, and then
okay,
you can start your own business. She
yeah,
said, like, you don't need this amazing like walk-in space with marmor walls and statues and fountains. If you have your sewing machine and you have a mirror and like a clean space to work, it's fine. Then just start like that and start your own business. And from that, that's how I started. I like worked in this little room doing my fittings with clients, and it just like boomed from there. So I was actually like at a space where I could move out this year and open a shop before the COVID hit. But, you know, financially, I would have been able to do that. And for a fashion designer, I feel like that's quite like a success story for me, because it is very difficult in the fashion industry to have a solid income each month.
And then speaking about COVID, how now has it changed your approach to this, your approach to, at the end of the day, making that bottom line, but still as well, growing your business as well? Have you changed your approach? What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, so at the first, obviously, when like they said the lockdown is gonna happen, I was a bit relieved, like, oh, we're gonna get off for 3 weeks. We don't have to work. I can like sleep late, whatever, chill a bit,
Yeah,
maybe catch up to work. And then like after 2 weeks, like so many clients started to cancel wedding dresses. And obviously then later on we realized we don't know if there's going to be matric dance and wedding dresses is my main income. And I was also supposed to get married in November. So I obviously need that money to, pay for the wedding.
okay.
So yeah, I think like 2 weeks into the lockdown, I realized quite quickly that things aren't going to be the way I expected this year. So we just moved out our wedding, and most of my clients also moved out their weddings. A few canceled because their husbands actually lost their jobs, or they're like fiancés. So that is quite bad. But I think the schools are saying now that they're moving the matric dances to later in the year. So that is still fine. But yeah, I started making face masks, which I feel is like such a cliche. Like everyone is jumping on the face mask bandwagon.
Do something. I mean, I think a lot of the times when we study design, the perception is that once we're done, we're going to make it huge. You understand?
Yeah,
And of course, that is the case with some people, but an overnight success, what seems like an overnight success, is work that has been put in for years and years and years.
yeah,
Overnight success actually comes into fruition at that part. And I know a lot of I find no shame in starting out small, or
yeah,
adjusting to the climate, how whatever's working. Because imagine now if you had this huge ego or whatever the case may be, you wouldn't be making masks. I mean, for
yeah,
example, Baton is making masks. Everyone is making masks. And
exactly.
not a shameful thing to adapt your product, because I know a lot of the times, creatives or specifically, sorry, designers, we want to, really stick to, the type of business or whatever that we have in mind. But I think a lot of the times, with why design houses do not really last that long is that, that stubbornness to adjust to the time and then move with the times as well. So you can still have your signature Carike Nel, silhouettes and color and all of this, but
Yeah.
come in different shapes and forms as well. Okay, so one question I really, really want to know is that, what excites you about the industry in South Africa? Why should one stay and build the South African market instead of going overseas to the fashion capitals of the world?
Yeah. Well, I love South Africa. I'm one of those like people, if someone says they're going to immigrate
Yeah.
because of this and that and whatever, I'm like, no, I'm staying. I love my country. I
Yeah.
think the things that excite me is, I mean, I've worked with so many different kind of people. There's so many different kind of cultures. So for a designer, that's like the dream, because you can basically create anything you want. You're not limited. So, yeah, I think there's so many opportunities in South Africa as well. I mean, if you look at overseas, there is so many well-known designers. Sometimes, like lately, if I pick up a magazine, I don't even recognize the names because there's so many new designers and they come up like each day and night. And I feel there's so much space in South Africa for still, bigger names and more designs and more creative designs and people that pushes the boundaries. And I'm starting to see that, here and there, you can start to see that. But I feel like maybe for a long time, I don't know, people didn't regard fashion as such an important thing, but it actually is. And
Yeah.
like you said, a lot of people think, like, I don't even want to tell people I'm a fashion designer when we're having like a braai, because like their expression is always this, like
Oh,
shame, you know.
yeah.
She's just a fashion designer, and then they go look at my work, and then they like phone me afterwards and say like, I didn't realize this is actually what you do and what you can do if you studied fashion design. So no, South Africa is a great place to stay. I wouldn't like move here. And it's, they also make it so, they try to make it so easy for people to start their own businesses. They do encourage that, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, we are, you know, obviously for me personally, getting into fashion, I'm quite very, I would say, not mature. I'm very like, oh wow, wide-eyed. And everything. But when you compare the South African market to that of Milan or America, okay, we are quite much in the infant stage. And I think
Yes.
advantage of staying here is that you can literally help to build the industry. Because obviously, you know, the other industries overseas, they're very much overpopulated. And for a person starting out, it can be so difficult. But versus here in South Africa, you know, we've got this huge space for you to grow.
Yeah.
We've got huge space for literally families and people to grow up with your business. So it can become a multi-generational type fashion
Yes.
as well. So you get like your Gucci's and your Dior's that they're like, you know, they're really old, so to
I
speak.
know.
They've got a huge history behind them. And I think that's the advantage with us as well. I quickly have a question that I just want to answer. So, N Rob underscore Rennes is asking, is it possible to go to LISOF and study styling or makeup? So we definitely. Please make sure that you watch the rest of this week. We are going to address that. In fact, on Friday, we've got Janine, who's going to be speaking to Marco Lewis, who is the head of MAC as well. So definitely you can study here. It's just that we have the bias tonight because we are just design people, but you can definitely study that as well. Okay, so what I wanted to ask as well is that, you know, for somebody starting out, how would you advise somebody to start? What would be the first step?
Well, I think you need to have passion. That's the first step.
Study fashion.
Yeah, I think if you don't love what you do, because this isn't like in the beginning, it's not a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah,
But yeah, my advice would just be like, go after what you're passionate about and be willing to work hard, and don't like sort of have a chip on your shoulder thinking you're too good to do this. You're not too good to do anything. You know, you need to start out somewhere. So if you need to be like a runner on a movie set, or an assistant, a wardrobe person, just to reach your dream, it
yeah,
takes a lot of years to get, you know, the experience and confidence to be a very good designer. So yeah, just like be humble, and it's okay if it takes a long time. It's supposed to take a long time.
yeah. There's got a question here from Kaylee Edwards. She's asking, how competitive is the fashion industry in South Africa?
I think like the fashion industry worldwide is one of the most competitive industries. I think it's actually like a fact. I don't know if, but I read it somewhere. In South Africa, it's also competitive, but because it's such a tight knit of, there's not a lot of fashion big names, fashion designers out there. We all know each other or know of each other. I don't know. It is competitive. I just always tell my clients that if you want me to make your wedding dress or whatever dress you want me to make, just make sure you like my style of designing and making clothes too. If you don't like it, then go to the other designer. It's okay, because you need to choose me just like I need to work with you. So it is very competitive, but I don't think it's mean or like there's bad vibes or anything.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, from from my side looking in, I think the competitive really comes in. I think it's definitely a competitive space, but what makes it so overwhelming, I think, from consumers, and when a lot of the things are similar to one another, when there's no
Yeah,
difference. So if we look at 5 different garments that are supposed to be from 5 different designers, if they all look the same, perhaps the consumer is only going to go to that one specific person, and those 4 other people, will suffer. I think what's very important when it comes to design is literally find yourself as a designer and then market that, and not necessarily move with the trends every 5
yeah,
obviously for a consumer buying into your brand, it's going to be very, very difficult because we don't understand who you are as a design house, and then we get confused in all of that space as well.
yeah.
I wanted to ask, okay, so you studied design, of course, and then what was your experience with the whole study? How did it go? Was it smooth sailing for you? Did you click with everything instantly, or was it a bit difficult? How can you explain that more?
Um, well, I think I clicked actually. Like it was the first time in my life that I actually felt I fit in somewhere because in school, like I never enjoyed school. But I realize now it's because I'm creative and I didn't do anything creative in school. But anyways, no, it was very fun. I actually like sometimes for me, when I think back of it, it was like one of the best times of my life. It wasn't that it wasn't hard work. Like there was the nights that you had to work throughout the night and, push hard to meet a deadline for assignment. But I enjoyed like literally every single thing of my studying experience. Like sometimes I wish I could go back. It was so much fun and like not so much stress. And you can actually do what you love, like, especially your third year with the
The
when
fashion,
you yeah, the
yeah.
fashion show and creating your own range. That was literally like one of the my highest points in my life for me. Just like for a whole year you could work on a fashion line.
Definitely. I've got a question here from Papa is Smurf, or is Smurf rather. What hardships did you experience? What hardships are you experiencing currently in your company, and how are you overcoming?
Well, obviously because of the virus, a lot of my staff isn't in the country, so that
Okay.
sucks. Yeah, the one girl, she also studied at LISOF, so she's one of my assistants. She's in Angola, and the other one is in the Cape. So they're not able to come over to assist me and help me sew and just be there in the studio with me
Yeah.
because it's sometimes. So yeah, I think that's what the biggest hurdle for me to overcome is like not to have my whole support team with me now.
And then another question from Garabo_Manoka saying, how do you feel about fashion designers that come up overnight, copying other people's designs and selling it for much cheaper? How do you feel about that?
Well, I know a lot of like factories in China. We've all seen that, like
If,
copy designs, and then you can buy it like on uh, whatever Wish or Alibaba.com or whatever. It doesn't look the same for designers, like copying other designers. Um, I don't know. It's weird for me.
but don't,
I don't.
sorry to interrupt. Don't you feel a bit flattered if if somebody copied? Doesn't it mean now you're doing something right? Um,
Yeah, for me, it's also like I feel sort of everything that you see has been done at some or other stage. Like, I know, like for me with the dress that like the transformation in 5 different ways. I know that was something that I haven't seen before, But yeah, if someone copies your work in the beginning, I would have gotten very like offensive and defensive,
Yeah.
because I have had designers that like literally told me, we copied that from you. And then
Oh,
it's like, okay. And then also you started realizing, well, that's actually, like you said, a compliment.
yeah.
I don't think like if they copy, if they get success overnight because they're copying someone else's design, I don't think the success would last very long.
Yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, I feel like everyone gets their inspiration from somewhere. You know, if in designing, when we study, they call it like a designer's design, you know,
Yeah.
the inspiration type of thing. So everyone gets their inspiration from somewhere.
I see a lot of copying happening when it comes to fast fashion. So I don't want to name the, brands, but you go to a mall and you shop at certain shops there. A lot of the fast fashion, companies tend to copy a lot from your big fashion houses. But I think, what the advantage of that is for somebody who cannot afford a Louis Vuitton handbag or a shoe, it is very nice to find it at your local mall. A version of it's very beneficial for a consumer space, but I can imagine being the creative director of, Couture, Louis Vuitton, and all this, I'll be very, very highly irritated. I mean, because, the whole imitation really has closed the gap between super high fashion and street fashion as well, where you see these two worlds that were very separate for a
Yeah.
very, very, they now have joined and created this whole type of fashion as well.
Yeah.
So for you, long term, do you want to, do you see yourself being like a franchise, or do you want to very much stick to your haute couture type of design where it's a very limited amount of people who can get it?
Well, I would like to be a franchise in the couture design, if that makes sense. You know, I would love to have a big wedding shop and create my own range of wedding dresses each season. I do have like a commercial clothing business on the side. It is a bit difficult to manage everything, so I don't give as much attention to that as I would like. But no, I would definitely like to be a franchise, but stay in the evening wear with that. Yeah.
Makes sense. From your perspective, um, he at Yannick, hopefully I pronounced that right, is asking what would it take for someone after studying to be able to work with high-end fashion brands? What would you advise people to do that?
I actually don't know. I don't know what to say. I've never tried. Like, for me, it feels so far away. Like, you've reached sort of like very high ends in South Africa, you know, like I've been on all the big stages and whatever. Um, I think you can apply for an internship, but I don't know, like,
From our
what to
side,
say.
we had Tebe Magugu, who's an alumni from us. So what he did, he started off his business called Tebe Magugu, and it was really building in terms of people knowing it and knowing it as a high-end brand here in South Africa. And then Louis Vuitton, which is part of the LVMH association, all of that, they have a competition actually that happens each year where South Africa, well, not South African designers, but designers from all over the world, they get compete into that. So for the last time, I think about 10 rounds, they pick designers from almost from each continent, and then from there they narrow it down, and the top three they get invited to showcase their work at a museum. Last year's one was in Paris. So Tebe Magugu featured his clothing there and created a whole story behind it, and he ended up winning the LVMH prize. So the prize is that they move you over to Paris, you get to work for Louis Vuitton for a year, or intern there rather for a year, and then you'll be able to build your company even creator from there. So you get international recognition as well from LVMH, and you're able to build. But I mean, for, you know, for example, here at LISOF, we really value the importance of actually having work. So I know for me, when I studied here, and it's still happening even now, you get an internship program that happens in your third year. So you get to, obviously, if you're a design student, you get more into that design space. But it happens with all of the other courses that we offer as well. And you're able to work at your internship for a minimum of 2 weeks up until a month. And you do that for during your school holiday types, but you're more than welcome to gain more. So in terms of the internship, where did you have your internship, if you remember?
It was at Urban Rose, and that's a brand that I don't know if it still sells in Spree.
Yeah.
But at that stage it did. So I worked with the owner's name was Kate, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I basically worked with her, and she showed me how she, you know, goes about the business. It's obviously that was more commercial clothing, so drafting patterns, and how she chooses the material from there and takes it to the CMT and then to the shop. So that was actually quite cool.
Cool. And then, so what was the major, if you remember, what was the major learning experience there working or interning there rather?
I think, well, for me, commercial clothing was sort of foreign. And she actually like showed me how she gets to a design and decides on a design, and how she actually showed me like it's not that difficult, you know. If you really want to do it, you can start your own brand and be in a shop and develop like have a CMT that makes clothing. That was also my first time being in a CMT. Like I've never been in a factory that makes clothes. So yeah, she taught me quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I was also actually interning in a CMT. It was Morgan Pillay manufacturers in Joburg, and I was just so like overwhelmed. Like there's so many people, first of all. So there's people working in this factory, and it was very nice for me to learn the process of how garments end up, because obviously we know we do everything ourselves when we personally and it's at a much larger scale. For example, at Morgan Pillay, they manufacture clothes for Pringles, South Africa, for Woolworths, for certain designers there, like Studio W and all of that. So it was so nice that, you know, there's maybe 50 people just doing the cut, and another 50 people, you know,
I know.
on just the sleeve, and then they pass it on, the next person does the cuff. So it was really nice to see the behind the stage of how everything works. So sorry, I just want to answer this question by Kyla. What is the fashion media conversation? So Kyla, later on this week, we are having conversations geared to media, but definitely, as Kivit _13 said, on Facebook, we did a live actually 2 hours ago, a virtual tour of the campus, and we spoke all of that. So if you want to start reading up and seeing what everything is about, please go to our Facebook account and you can see the whole thing, and of course on our website as well. But don't miss out, because later on the week we are having media conversation as well as BCom, as well as buying, different aspects when it comes to the fashion. Okay, Carike, so I have one last question for you. You know, you've talked about how to start off, where you studied, how COVID has now affected your business, but how you've kind of advanced in it. Do you ever see, you know, do you ever think that you could move online right now as a business, or what would be your perspective about that?
Well, for now, I'm selling my face masks online. So I had a website for quite a long time, but I've never had a store. So I just opened a store for my face masks. And for me, it's not realistic for me as a designer. Like I know other designers might be able to do it, but I don't like selling dresses online, just because it is like made for a specific person. So I like to be hands-on with the fittings. So for me, the fittings are very important. And I also tell that to my customers or clients, or, you know, brides, when they come for a consultation, you know, you have to be available for fittings. So just because of that, because I like to talk them through, show them all the options, like what we can do with the material, with the design, how low they want their neckline, how open they want their shoulders, how long they want their sleeves. Because sometimes you see a picture, you know, on in a magazine or whatever, and you're like, I want that dress on me. And then you see, okay, well, if we make the sleeves like 2 centimeters shorter, it actually complements your body so much better. So I wouldn't, with clothing, move online, except if it's the commercial clothing line. But yeah, for now, it's just a face mask.
I've actually got Papa Smith has blown me up here. He's saying, you know, different celebrities, how were you able to market yourself? Because you have moved into or have become a designer known in the arts community as well. So how were you able to market yourself as Carike, especially starting out?
I was actually lucky, in a sense of my sister worked at the record label where a lot of celebrities were recording artists, such as Rihanna now, Caroline van Jaarsveld was also there, Dewald Wasserval, a lot of those, like, it's Afrikaans artists. So they were part at that stage of Afrikaans is Groot. So basically what I did was I sent my portfolio to the owner of the company at that stage, and he then phoned me. They were doing like a music video, Naweek Lyfie. It's like this Afrikaans music video, you know, that real sakkie lang arm, nice song. And he phoned me to do the wardrobe for that. But it was more for the extras, you know, not for, like, Leonie May was the lead singer. And then they asked me to do, like, can I make a dress for her for the music video? And I was like, okay, it's fine. And then from there, a lot of artists saw me or the dress, and then they contacted me and asked me if I would be willing to make dresses for them. So yeah, that's basically how it happened. I had like one dress on TV, and then a lot of them started messaging me.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for our nice chat. I hope everybody really took some beautiful gems from our conversation. And definitely, if you want to buy Carike stuff, you want to intern there, you want to be an assistant of an assistant of please make sure you Instagram, on Facebook, and really check out her designs. Her designs are absolutely beautiful. Please go and check out. Carike, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for interviewing me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, so everybody else, thank you so much for watching us, our Instagram live tonight. This is the first of many, so make sure you do not miss out. So I've got 2 awards that I want to shout out. So for our winner for our Facebook Live that has happened a few hours ago, we want to award Tinyuko Yolanda Mashaba for a free online short course, so you can choose whatever short course you want. We'll make sure that we'll contact you as well during this week to make sure that you choose one of that. And then now I need to choose a winner for tonight. Let us see. Okay, there's 2 people that stood out for me. A is Papa Smith. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And the second person who is standing out, Amber. Okay, so it's between those 2 people, between Papa Smurf and Amber. Who should I choose? Yes. Okay, you know who I'm going to choose? Amber, are you still on our live? indicate, Papa Smurf, are you still on our live? Oh, there's Rashina saying, please let it be me. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give it to Papa.Smurf. I think he was asking a lot of questions. He asked about 6 questions. So congratulations to you. You have won a fashion voucher. A fashion shopping voucher. You have definitely won that. Congratulations to you. Amber, I've got you. Uskawar. Don't worry, follow me there and then ritlobulel. Okay guys, thank you so much for our first chat. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. So tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we have live sessions with Danielle Kushlik, and the second person is Shayna Conclaves. So there are people who are more into the media type space, but make sure you follow us there. See you guys. Bye.